And right now, as promised, more Texans talk. Is the national media sleeping on this team? On the big board here, are the Texans underrated? That is one of the topics tackled by the Texans Squad show, and now we're doing the same thing right here. So are the Texans underrated, yes or no? The floor is yours, gentlemen.
Lead us off, Stan.
All right, so this is a matter of how you want to quantify this thing, right? From a wins-losses standpoint, the odds say the Texans 9.5 wins. I'll take the over. I have the Texans at 10-7. However, I have them as not underrated. I have them as appropriately rated.
Yes.
I don't think the Texans, specifically on the offensive side of the football, have enough power and potency to keep up with the likes of the AFC, the reigning AFC champions, Kansas City Chiefs. Even though they did beat Buffalo here at NRG, it is likely the Texans are going to go on the road in the second round, the divisional round of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that offensively, from an offensive line standpoint, can Nick Chubb sustain these injuries and be half as good as he was the last time we truly saw him in his real self in Cleveland. I'm concerned about the weaponry on the offensive side, on the perimeter. This thing on offense is built, gentlemen, around C.J. Stroud. They're going to treat him like an early Tom Brady, where they're going to ask him to get the ball out of his hands, make smart decisions, a lot of pre-snap reads. Can the line protect? I just don't know they're going to be able to score enough and keep up. So from a Super Bowl aspiration on paper, not there. But I do have them winning the division in 10 wins.
So you're saying they are not underrated?
Yes, I'm saying they are not underrated.
All right. I'm with you as well. I'm going to say they're not underrated as well. I have serious questions about the offensive line. On paper, I don't know if this team is better than it was a year ago. So I'm going to say no for underrated. How about you, John?
I'm also going to say no for underrated. I think when we look at the Houston Texans, there are a lot of ifs, none on the defensive side of the ball. And as a matter of fact, if the Houston Texans can be a top 9 to 12 offense, we may see DeMeco Ryans' defense end up top 3 in the NFL. But for the Houston Texans, as much as I like Jake Andrews, as much as I believe that Titus Howard has a higher stock, I don't know what they're going to get from that offensive line, and that's just me being real. I also don't know what version of this offense we're going to get because of the first-time play caller in Nick Haley. I have my presumptions. I believe we'll see a mixture of New England and L.A., and he's always mentioned that we're going to do a very good job of making sure we play to the player strengths, which I think was an issue in 2024, a little bit in 2023. But I'm just not sure because we have not seen it yet, So I'm going to go no to underrated, and if I could be honest, I just think that they're rated where they need to be. Kansas City, Baltimore, Buffalo, those are the top 3 teams in the AFC. I think that they are a better team than Buffalo. But Kansas City and Baltimore, those are the 2 giants they've yet to be able to slay. So I believe that it's a no, and they are rated where they need to be.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with no, they're not underrated. I don't think that they're overrated either. So, yeah, they're kind of in the middle. Like you said, appropriately rated. Yeah. I think that 9.5 win projection, I think they do go over. They win maybe at least, 10 wins and whatnot and win the division. But, yeah, like you mentioned, John, there's a lot of unknowns, right? We don't know what we're going to get from the offensive line. We don't know what we're going to get from the offense with the new offensive coordinator. The ideal situation is that we get a better offense, right? That's why they let go of Bobby Slowick and now they bring in Nick Haley. I do think that I like Nico Collins, Jaden Higgins, and Christian Kirk. I like that trio. I think that if the offensive line does click and they can give C.J. Stroud time, then I think that you got 3 good weapons. Because if you got 2 big guys like Nico and Jaden Higgins that can go out there, extend the field, and make catches over smaller guys, like we've already seen Higgins do it earlier, during minicamp. Look, I think that, if things go right, then it's going to be an exciting offense. If.
Hope is not a plan, Bill Parcells used to say.
Listen, it's yet to be told, right? I mean, it's yet to be seen.
It could play out, and I get it.
A big blessing for the Houston Texans, 2 joint practices against 2, Carolina, but a really good Detroit team that has a lot of expectations coming into the 2025 season, coming off a lot of expectations in 2024. I think those joint practices will help the Houston Texans really get a look at where do we need to improve before week 1.
Jack, I'm going to disagree a little bit and push back on what John and I come to you with a question. Given the joint practices, it's a deal, but it's not that big of a deal. What is a bigger deal is, can you play your best football in January at Buffalo, at Kansas City, at Baltimore, potentially at Cincinnati if Burrow, Chase, and T. Higgins and that bunch? Do you have confidence right now? The Texans in the second round, likely because they'll get a home game winning the division. Can they go joint practices and rookie wide receivers and all that? Can they go into those buildings? Do you have confidence that CJ and D'Amico can go in those buildings and get it done?
No, I don't.
Thank you. That's a reasonable, rational.
And that's why I don't think that they're underrated. So no, I don't think they're underrated, because I think to be underrated, you have to have done it before. You have to show that you can do something, and people are saying, oh, you're not going to do it again, right? That's why you are underrated. So no, I don't think they're underrated. They need to play, as you said, their best football in January. They need to make it to an AFC championship game to prove that they are of that echelon.
Is it AFC championship game or bust?
What happens when bust? What does bust mean? Mean someone else loses their job? Because I'm going to say the hard thing to say.
Oh, man. And I deal with this.
Listen, I'm going to say what's difficult to say. I'm known to be somewhat of a contrarian. I'd like to say I'm harsh but fair.
Yes.
And I've earned the right to have the positions that I have. If this team is one and done again in the postseason, we're going to have to start having a very uncomfortable conversation about leadership on a multitude of levels. We have seen other NFL teams move on from not only personnel, coaching staff, including the head man, as well as general manager, scouting department, and the like. D'Amico's reckoning, I told D'Amico to his face, I'm here for you. I'm with you. My man, support you. No one supports D'Amico more than I do in this city. Caserio seems to be a nice guy, how he handles his business. Caserio's had 17 offensive draft picks since he's been general manager here. How many of those 17 have been hits on offense? CJ, Nico, and Tank, kind of. That's a 17% hit rate. He moved up in the second round to go get Drew Scruggs, who's on my board for trending down. He's been running with the third team on some reps in camp. He moved up in the second round to get Blake Fisher. What is that going to be? Do we have a right tackle or don't we? And then lastly, Ariante Ursary, they call him Tay. If he's not starting at some point this season at either of those tackle spots, that's now 3. Oh, John Mechie. We moved them to the second round to get Metch too. You have to start asking some difficult questions, and it's not casting any aspersions on those two individuals. This is about winning the Super Bowl. It's business, not personal.
Yeah.
How much of that is dependent on talent, though? I mean,
I think
what's the GM's job?
Evaluating talent.
Identify
recruit talent, find it.
17% hit rate on offense going into this season. I'm sorry.
I do believe the Houston Texans did a fair job. Now, off-season, not a lot of big names. The biggest concern is Laken Tomlinson, Ed Ingram, Trent Brown, who's always been somewhat of a question mark. Cam Robinson. What version of these guys are you going to get? The hope is coaching will change all of this.
First-time play caller.
First-time play caller, first-time offensive
line
coach. That's what they're banking on. And for them to be operating in a Super Bowl window where soon you're going to have those conversations about what are we going to pay C.J. Stroud.
Bingo.
I understand Stan's concerns and reservations on a lot of these ifs. If it works out,
look like a genius.
Nick Caserio will probably get an extension. But if it doesn't, we'll probably be right back here saying we are disappointed in the moves that the Houston Texans made.
Zach, Luis, thank you. And from Locked On Texans and the new Locked On Texans squad show, Stan Norfleet, John Hickman. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here tonight on Sports Extra.